Summer training is here, speed is on the menu, so it's time to show you guys my updated running shoe rotation. Back in January, around 15-16 weeks out from London Marathon, I produced a video showcasing my running shoe rotation. Fast forward to March, where the intervals got longer, the long runs got longer, and I did an updated video to show you the shoes I swapped in to cater for those longer miles. Well, now it's May and the focus is fully on the 5 and 10K. We have another updated rotation to show you. And in this rotation, I've got 4 shoes that are going to be the beating heart of most of the miles, and I've got 3 at the end I want to show you that I'm currently experimenting with, using them on my double threshold days. I haven't quite pinpointed the ones I want to use, but I'm going to show you the ones I've tested so far and tell you the ones that I'm leaning towards more. So without further ado, let's get into this. We'll start with the Easy Day shoes and work our way through to the speed. And so we'll kickstart with the Saucony Triumph 22. This is a shoe I did not expect to be in the list at all. When I tested it, I said it was a great shoe. It definitely wasn't an amazing shoe, and ultimately when we're testing these recovery day daily trainers, there's nothing really that makes you go wow about them. Those wow factors you tend to get in those speedier shoes. So what I'm looking for in a recovery day shoe is just one that I want to lace up and one that I want to log some miles in. And it's really surprised me, but I have not put this shoe down since it's come in for testing. I've got some good Easy Day recovery day shoes in the rotation at home that are just waiting for miles. But again, I'm just gravitating towards this one. And it very much reminds me of the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. Not in the way that it feels, but just of its simplicity and the way that I'm just gravitating towards it. The Shift 3 was a shoe that was quite heavy, nothing fancy about it, but I logged a ton of miles in that shoe, and that's kind of the feeling I'm getting with the Triumph 22. I'm going for it, I think, because of the cushioning. I'm appreciating the updated Power Run Plus midsole. I'm not a fan of the 10mm drop. I do still notice it, but on those harder days that I have in my training at the moment, which is double threshold training and some really fast VO2 max training, I am really enjoying the fact that this thing can offer me some good comfort on those easy days. So far, this thing is sticking around. And the next shoe on the list, this is coming back into the rotation after a little bit of a hiatus, and that is the Hoka Max 6. Very excited for this shoe, and it absolutely blew me away this week on a double threshold evening session. So I'll explain more shortly. I got this thing to 100 miles very quickly. It was in line with the Endorphin Speed 4. I chose this over the Speed 4, and I still say it, I prefer this shoe over the Endorphin Speed 4. However, I shelved it to get the Endorphin Speed 4 to 100 miles. I got it there, and then this thing has been sat there, and I've been looking at my evening double threshold shoe rotation thinking, what can I use that's not a plated shoe? What was I using last time I did it? And it tended to be something like the Hyperion Max, or it was the Hyperion Tempo back then. And I thought, do you know what? Let's give this a go. I haven't put any speed in it yet. The 2 shoes on my list to get speed work done in is the Endorphin Speed 4 and the Hoka Max 6. So I gave this thing the nod, and it absolutely blew me away. I did not expect to hit the paces that I hit. If you want to see more on that, I am producing an extra video on it. I have recorded it all. I just need to edit it. It may not be out by the time that this video goes out, but it should be out by the end of the week, if not this weekend. And it just absolutely blew me away. So this thing is absolutely coming back into the rotation. It's definitely got a place, whether it's an evening double threshold session day, whether it's a moderate day shoe, or even maybe if it takes some of the easy miles away from the Triumph. Either way, this thing is again sticking around. And the Brooks Hyperion Max is at 294 miles. It is nearly at the end of its life, but it's done so well. So this thing is going to be a bit of a backup, a bit of a reserve shoe. I do want to keep using it on the trails, and it will get some miles in it, but it's just not quite forefront of the rotation anymore. It did so well throughout the London Marathon training block. I was so grateful for the miles I was able to put in it. I did notice towards the end, in the final 2 or 3 weeks, it was going quite flat. It didn't quite give me what I wanted back from it. But at this point, when I had my previous pair of these shoes, I still took them out on the trails where it's a bit of a softer surface and I could still get some good miles out of them. I am always looking for non-plated shoes, which is why I'm not giving up on this thing yet. Yes, it's not going to be first choice on a lot of runs, but it's going to be there for me if I fancy taking it out for a spin. I feel like we're marketed plated shoes so much. You're going to see a few of them at the end of this video, but I really do feel like the core of our running should be done in non-plated shoes as natural as possible. And so this is another option that I have in my rotation, but not for too much longer, sadly. I do want to wear these things out, but yeah, could be the last time. And the final shoe of this core rotation, the Saucony Kinvara 14, bringing this one back. It was in the January video, it was not in the March one, but we're back with the Speedwork. This is, as I just said, an unsung hero for me. Absolutely fantastic. Now in my training at the moment, I'm doing a lot of easy miles, but I'm also doing a double threshold day, and I'm doing a shorter, sharper, let's call it a VO2 max style workout, where I'm really working that top end paces. And yeah, this thing, that's what it's designed for. This is here to stay for those workouts. Now, I would also use things like the Streak Fly from Nike. I would also use the Takumi Sen from Adidas. But both of those shoes, as much as I love them and they're incredible, I often find that I overpronate too much in them. And I often get tightness up the side of my legs from where I'm using them, and my ankles rolling in, and it's just, it hurts. This thing, 122 miles, I'm not experiencing any of that. My ankles don't roll in this shoe, and it is really holding strong so well. Not to mention the fact it's super lightweight and extremely enjoyable. This shoe right here divides opinion with so many of you. I've seen so many positive comments about it, so many of you saying it's so basic, it's such a rubbish shoe. Yes, it is basic, but it does the job, and that's what I need it to do. I want to lace up a shoe on those short fast days, not worry about a plate. I want something lightweight that's going to give me enough cushioning that I'm going to be protected, but not too much that it's going to feel like too much of a bulky shoe, and this thing absolutely delivers. So there we go, the Kinvara 14 is back and here to stay for the summer. And here we go, the Alphafly version 1, 135 miles in this pair. I've dug it out. I'm not going to race in it again, so I thought I might as well get some use of it in training. So I'm doing this in order of what I've done on my 2 double threshold days so far. The 4 shoes that I'm about to show you are the ones that I've been experimenting with. I'm not yet decided on which ones, so I'm going to share my experiences with them very quickly. This one I'm just not sure about. I did this and the Adios Pro 3 from Adidas on that first double threshold day, and I came away with sore calves. So I thought, okay, I often get sore calves if I use super shoes too much, but I know that there are some that aggravate it more than others. So that's why this is a little bit on the fence at the moment, because I'm not 100% sure if it was this shoe that kind of did the damage, or maybe it was the Adidas Pro 3. Either way, I had a great session in this shoe, and as I said, I'm not going to race in it again. I paid good money for this shoe, and I kind of want to get the most out of it, and I want to run it into the ground now. So in whatever form that might be, I think I'm going to be using this shoe a little bit more throughout the training block. Just might sprinkle it in rather than it being a regular weekly feature. And the same applies for the Adidas Pro 3. Like I was just mentioning there, I'm not sure whether it was that shoe or the Alphafly that caused the issue. So I'm going to be doing some more isolated testing with those 2 shoes over the coming weeks. 112 miles in that one so far. Don't have the shoe with me today, but I have actually had to adapt that shoe slightly. And by adapt, I mean I've had to cut the end of the shoe, because sizing in Adidas shoes are just a nightmare for me. I can't quite understand how their sizing works. Some shoes are okay, some are too tight, but I have tried a 14.5 of the Pro 3, believe it or not, in an Adidas outlet shop, and it's just too big. So the 13.5, which I have, is okay, but it still is a little bit tight, so I have adapted the end of it. You'll see in a training video coming up over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So what I'm going to do is use that shoe of a morning session, and then probably the Max 6 of an evening, and then maybe try the Alphafly of a morning shoe and the Max 6 of an evening, and 2 different weeks, and see how they go. See if one particular shoe works for me well. The reason I like the Pro 3 is Lightstrike is one of my favorite materials. Lightstrike Pro, I should say. It is incredible. It's great in the Takumi Sens, absolutely brilliant in the Pro 3s. I just find though it's not quite as sharp when it comes to racing. I have raced in the Pro 3. I didn't really enjoy it, but I do find it a super effective long run shoe. So for those longer double threshold days, I think it's going to be quite a good addition. And you may or may not have seen the last video on the channel, and that is the Pro 4 and the Alphafly version 3, where I did a little bit of A/B testing to see which one I preferred, but also a little bit of an efficiency test in it. Very kind of ad hoc testing, but it was good fun and I enjoyed it. Now the Pro 4 is a shoe that I really want to get to know more. 32 miles in it so far. I did an absolutely incredible first workout in the shoe. It was so fast, but I did get an issue where I got a blister in between my big toe and my next toe. The toe box is quite narrow in this shoe. So I tried new laces and I still got the issue. And now I've adapted it thanks to the Running Doctors, where they did a video on shoe lacing. I think his name was Matt from the Running Doctors. He did a video and showcased that if you just lace it like this, you're not pulling the fabric in so tight. And that seems to have worked quite well, because in the recent workout I didn't have any issues whatsoever. And these are Next% 2 laces as well, because the laces in the Pro 4 were absolutely terrible. But this thing is a really good shoe. Again, it's more aggressive, so I do feel like this is a shoe that might be one of the ones that gives me calf issues if I use it too much. But again, I want to race in it, and I do want to use it in training a little bit and see how I get on with it, especially in those double threshold days. And the Alphafly 3 is the last one to throw in there. 28 miles in it so far, and this thing is going to get a race in it either this weekend or next weekend. So it may or may not get too many more training miles in it, depending on how it does in racing. What I am appreciating right now is how good I'm feeling after my double threshold days. And I know it's early days, but I remember thinking back to when I last did it. The shoes that I was using were a lot more minimalistic. I was using the Tempo, Hyperion Tempo in the morning, and then something like the Kinvara, like a Liberate Nitro, maybe the odd super shoe in the evening, but overall a smaller stack shoe. So my legs were quite beaten up after them, and I did struggle to continue to train successfully after that for the rest of the week. It did kind of have a knock-on effect. So my goal this time is to be able to have some good quality training whilst incorporating double threshold, and these super shoes seem to be helping so far. So for me, this has been a big hit since I've got it. I've seen mixed reviews. I think I've just said this in a previous video. I've seen mixed reviews, but for me, it's working well. It feels fast, it moves fast, and it's definitely giving me that good cushion. And I'm appreciating that 8mm drop. I do wonder if that Alphafly version 1 with the 4mm drop is the one that was causing the issue with the calf. We'll have to see, time will tell. But I think the 8mm in this suits it a lot better. I do feel some good forward propulsion, and I do appreciate the foam in this shoe. So there we go. That's my summer running shoe rotation so far. Now I say so far because I think that's going to cover me for the first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of this 10-week block and beyond, of course, because summer extends past my training block. But these are the ones I'm going to be sticking with for now. What I feel is really important is that although I appreciate companies sending me shoes to review, and I love to buy shoes, shoes are just something that I love to test out and kind of explore. What I have to also prioritize is my running. So what you see here and in these videos where I'm talking about my rotation, these are the shoes that really do work for me. I can say everything I want in a review about how much I like a shoe, why I enjoy it, why I don't enjoy it, but some shoes often never see the light of day again, and other shoes get a ton of miles in them, and those are the ones that really matter to me. Those are the ones that work for me. And that ultimately, as I said, is my priority when it comes to running. So I was excited to share those today, and those are going to be ones that I'm taking forward into summer. I'd love to hear what you guys are using this summer. Have you got a favorite? Have you got a favorite speed shoe? Have you got anything that has really solidified itself into your rotation that you just can't get rid of, that you're logging the miles in and you're really, really enjoying? Do drop a comment and let everyone know. It'd be great to hear your thoughts down there. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, sharing it with your friends, and of course subscribing to the channel for weekly running content. I'll see you on the next one.